Have you ever wondered how the South Korean army, one of the most powerful armies in the world, work?
In the next 5 minutes, we will explain the operation, military equipment, commercialization, modernization, among other important aspects of the South Korea Armed Forces.
First, let's talk about the functioning of the South Korean Armed Forces, called ROK Armed Forces. Who is in control of these armed forces? The President. He is the Commander-in-Chief. What is the chain of command? First, the President, then the Minister of National Defense, and finally, the Joint Chief of Staff that consists of the Chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, the Chief of Staff of the Army, the Chief of Naval Operations, and the Chief of Staff of the Air Force. Now, what about the divisions? First, we have ROK Army, ROK Navy, ROK Marine Corps, our branch of the Navy, ROK Air Force, and ROK Reserve Forces.
Did you know that South Korea is among the countries with the highest military investment alongside countries such as the United States, Russia, and China? In recent years, the country has been increasing its defense budget by 8%, which represents the 40% of the total national budget. This is due to the existing tension between the two Koreas. This investment is reflected in its extensive military equipment. South Korea currently has more than 13 million military personnel available and more than 500,000 in service. It has a total of 2,600 tanks and almost twice as many armored fighting vehicles. Also, it has more than 8,000 artillery weapons and approximately 1,500 combat aircraft. Finally, it has a total of 195 marine equipment.
Modernization in the Defense Department is a great pillar so that this military doesn't take a step back with a comparison with the different armies of the world. According to the defense plans from 2020 to 2024, a total of $84.6 billion was announced through the Ministry of National Defense, all for the Force Improvement Plan for the next 5 years. This plan is comprehensive in its entirety, but well, let's mention its most eye-catching and important points.
Allocated 27 billion to address the nuclear threat, smart defense innovation, apply big data, artificial intelligence, IoT into defense field, 2 billion invested in fourth industrial revolution technology for military operations, improve warship and submarines, acquire a large destroyer with Aegis combat system.
Now, commercialization is in charge of the DAPA. It controls all informal negotiations such as overseas investment, production, local transfer, and technology. 58 of these programs were executed, 29 of those were from US suppliers, accounting more than 80% of program value. Korea's exports are mainly to Southeast Asian countries such as Malaysia, Indonesia, and Philippines, with more than 132 exporting companies.
It is known the US remains South Korea's most significant military ally, due largely 62 years of close alliance and the presence of more than 28,000 US troops in South Korea as a prevention to an aggression from North Korea. This is why the US constitutes about 84% of Korea's total defense imports. Although the US continues to be a primary defense supplier in Korea, a strict US export control policy and aggressive marketing of other suppliers from Europe and Israel have cut into the US firms' advantages.
Korean territory is very mountainous and the climate is very rainy, greatly affecting the communication of the armed forces. North Korea has weapons of mass destruction, between 12 and 27 nuclear weapons, and South Korea has no nuclear weapons. There is friction between Korea and Japan. This could be a major problem since Japan is Korea's main ally in this region in the event of an armed conflict. Finally, another possible challenge is the growing tension between South Korea and China over cultural, historical, geopolitical, and economical issues. This is a latent threat as China is the second largest economy in the world and has one of the most powerful militaries.
In conclusion, we can say that the South Korean armed forces are prepared for an eventual war or conflict, but they keep having different strategic challenges.